And there comes a defining moment in many people's lives when they look around at their circumstances and realize that no one else is going to build the future they dream about. No one can carry their discipline, pursue their goals, or consistently push them forward when motivation disappears. That realization can feel lonely at first, but it can also become a turning point. For some, this moment feels like defeat. They see only isolation, disappointment, and the absence of support. But for others, it marks the beginning of personal responsibility. They stop waiting for ideal circumstances, universal approval, or someone else to believe in their vision before they begin. They recognize that lasting progress often starts the moment they accept ownership of their own path. And if these words resonate with you, perhaps it is because you know what it feels like to pursue goals that others do not fully understand. You may be tired of explaining your ambitions to people who cannot see what you see. You may have spent too much time waiting for encouragement, permission, or the perfect team to appear. If so, consider this your reminder. Stop waiting. Start building. The most important commitment is not the one others make to your vision. It is the one you make to yourself. The idea that you need support to succeed is the single greatest lie sold to you by a weak society. Machiavelli knew this. The great conquerors knew this. History is not written by committees. It is written by individuals who realized that being alone was not a defect. It was a superpower. I am going to show you how to build an empire with zero support. I am going to show you why having no one is actually a strategic advantage that gives you a lethality the supported man will never possess. But be warned, we are going to perform surgery on your mindset. We have to cut out the part of you that craves validation. We have to kill the herd animal inside you. If you are scared of walking into the dark alone, turn this off. Go back to the crowd. They will keep you warm. But if you are ready to become the kind of person who scares the crowd, listen closely. Let's dismantle the myth. From the moment you were born, you were conditioned to be dependent. School taught you group projects. Religion taught you congregation. Society taught you networking. You have been brainwashed to believe that the only way to move up is to be lifted up by others. It's not what you know, it's who you know. We've all heard it. We all nod. We all agree. And it is poison. When you rely on who you know you are admitting that you are powerless without them, you are handing the keys of your destiny to people who act based on their self-interest, not yours. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, a wise prince should rely on what is in his own control, not on what is in the control of others. When you seek support, you are seeking debt. Think about it. When someone helps you, you owe them. When someone invests in you, they own a piece of you. When someone supports you emotionally, they hold the power to withdraw that support, and you are looking for a safety net. But a safety net is also a spider web. It catches you. Yes, but it also traps you. The reason you haven't succeeded yet is not because you lack support. It is because you are still looking for it. You're burning valuable mental energy, scanning the horizon for a savior. You're diluting your vision to make it palatable for others. You're waiting for applause before you even finish the performance. You must accept the 0 point. The 0 point is the state of absolute isolation. It is when you look at your bank account, your contacts, and your resources and see nothing but your own reflection. Most people panic here. You will not. You will see this as the ultimate freedom. If you have 0 support, you have 0 masters. There is a unique strength that comes from learning to build without constant encouragement. When your progress depends entirely on external approval, your confidence rises and falls with other people's opinions. But when you learn to rely on your own discipline, setbacks become less personal because your commitment no longer depends on applause. Machiavelli is often associated with the idea that influence is earned through strength and capability rather than popularity alone. Applied to personal growth, the lesson is simple. Instead of seeking validation for your vision, Focus on becoming so competent that your results speak for themselves. Many ambitious ideas are misunderstood at first, not because they are wrong, but because they have not yet produced visible evidence. You may notice that the harder you try to convince skeptical people, the less interested they become. Explaining your ambitions repeatedly rarely creates belief. Consistent action does. Rather than investing your energy in winning approval from those who doubt you, invest it in developing the skills, habits, and discipline that move your goals forward. Competence has a way of answering questions that words never can. This requires a shift in mindset. Instead of relying on encouragement as your primary source of motivation, learn to draw motivation from commitment itself. Let doubt become a reminder to improve, not a reason to quit. You do not need resentment to fuel your progress. Quiet determination is more sustainable. The people who succeed without much support are rarely the loudest. They are often the ones who keep building long after everyone else has stopped paying attention. Mates, they don't believe. Good. That means the market is open. They won't help. Good. That means I don't have to share the spoils. You have to reach a point where their indifference doesn't hurt your feelings. It sharpens your focus. Imagine a general on a battlefield. He looks back and sees his army has deserted him. He stands alone against the enemy. Does he sit down and cry about loyalty? No. He assesses his weapons. He assesses the terrain. He realizes that a single man moving in the shadows is harder to kill than a clumsy army marching in the light. He becomes asymmetrical. You are that general. Your lack of support forces you to be smarter. It forces you to be faster. A large corporation with 1,000 employees moves slowly. They have meetings about meetings. You can change your entire life in 1 hour because you have no one to consult. You don't need a board of directors. You need a mirror. Stop viewing your isolation as a punishment. It is a filter. It is filtering out the weak people who would have slowed you down. It is filtering out the fake allies who would have stabbed you in the back the moment you got a taste of gold. You're alone because you are being protected from the weight of other people's mediocrity. So how do you actually execute this? How do you wake up every day with 0 messages of encouragement and still work like a demon? You enter the ghost phase. This is a concept derived from dark psychology and strategic warfare. If you have no support, you have no audience. If you have no audience, you have no need to perform. Become a ghost. Most people fail because they talk away their energy. They have an idea, and they immediately run to tell a friend. The friend says, "That sounds hard." Or, "Are you sure?" Boom, the doubt enters. The energy leaks. You got a tiny hit of dopamine just from talking about the goal, which tricked your brain into thinking you achieved it. So you stop working. The ghost does not speak. You must take a vow of silence regarding your ambitions. Do not tell your mother. Do not tell your partner. Do not post big things coming on Instagram. Silence creates pressure. When you have a massive goal inside you and you don't let it out through your mouth, it builds up in your system like steam in a boiler. The pressure of pursuing a difficult goal without much support can feel overwhelming. Left unmanaged, it becomes anxiety or restlessness. Channeled productively. However, that same energy can become focused effort. Instead of allowing frustration to consume you, direct it toward the work that moves you forward, especially during the quiet hours when distractions are few and your attention is fully your own. Solitude also offers an advantage that is easy to overlook: uninterrupted concentration. Without constantly trying to satisfy everyone's expectations or maintain every social obligation, you gain the freedom to immerse yourself deeply in your craft. What many people call obsession is often in healthy amounts simply sustained focus. The greatest performers in almost every field spend long periods refining skills that most people never see. Steve Martin famously said, "Be so good they can't ignore you." The emphasis is not on becoming universally liked, but on becoming exceptionally capable. When your skills judgment and consistency reach a high level, they become increasingly difficult to overlook. Excellence creates opportunities that persuasion alone rarely can. Ironically, recognition often arrives after you stop chasing it. People are naturally drawn to visible progress and tangible results. Rather than spending your energy convincing others to believe in your vision, invest that energy in making steady progress. Let your work become your introduction. The strongest reputation is built not through promises, but through consistent performance over time. Everyone says, "I always knew he had it." You will smile, you will nod, but you will never forget who was there when the room was empty, which was no one, just you. To survive this path, you have to grieve. This is the part the motivational gurus skip. They tell you to hustle. They don't tell you that hustling alone hurts. You have to grieve the loss of the life you thought you were going to have. You thought you would have a cheering section. You thought your parents would understand. You thought your friends would grow with you. They won't. You have to hold a funeral for the version of you that needed them. This is painful. It is a visceral, physical pain in the chest. It feels like betrayal. You will find yourself staring at the ceiling at night, wondering if you're crazy. You will wonder if maybe they are right and you are wrong. This is the test. Every outlier goes through the valley of the shadow. It is the period of time where you have left the herd, but you have not yet reached the sanctuary. You are in the wilderness. In the wilderness, you hallucinate. You invent demons. You crave the comfort of the cage you just escaped. But you cannot go back. You know too much. Once you have seen the reality that most people are sleepwalking, that support is just mutual sedation, you cannot unsee it. So you must kill the boy so the man can be born. You must kill the dependent so the sovereign can rise. This requires you to become your own parent. Psychologically, this is called repairing. But let's go darker. Let's call it self-architecture. You must wake up and look in the mirror and be the father you never had. You must look at your bank account and be the provider you never had. You must look at your emotions and be the therapist you never had. You talk to yourself literally. Get up. We have work to do. Stop crying. No one cares. Focus. This is the only way out. You develop a split personality. There is the you that is tired, emotional, and weak. And there is the you that is the commander. The commander drags the weakling through the mud. Eventually, the weakling dies, and only the commander remains. This is what Machiavelli meant when he talked about the prince having a flexible disposition. Building something meaningful often requires sacrificing short-term comfort for long-term progress. That does not mean being harsh for the sake of punishment. It means choosing today's discipline over today's convenience. When you are pursuing a goal largely on your own, there is no one to create structure for you. If you delay the work, the consequences belong to you. While challenging that direct feedback can become one of your greatest teachers. In that sense, limited support can become an advantage. Without constant reassurance or someone else compensating for your mistakes, you learn to take responsibility more quickly. Each setback becomes information rather than an excuse. Over time, you become more adaptable and resilient because you have learned to recover without depending on ideal conditions. The story you tell yourself matters just as much as the work you do. Many people explain their lack of progress by pointing to what they lacked. Funding, encouragement, the perfect environment, or the right connections. A more empowering story asks a different question. Given the circumstances I have, what can I control today? That shift transforms obstacles from permanent barriers into problems waiting for a solution. Elite performers often find ways to convert disappointment into determination. Michael Jordan was known for using perceived slights as extra motivation, whether those slights were real or simply reminders to compete harder. You can apply the same principle in a healthier way. Instead of carrying resentment, Let rejection, unanswered messages, criticism, or doubt remind you why your standards matter. Use setbacks as fuel for disciplined action, not to prove others wrong, but to prove to yourself that your commitment does not depend on anyone else's belief. They laughed at your idea. Perfect. They excluded you. Excellent. Burn it. Anger is a cleaner fuel than sadness. Sadness makes you heavy. It makes you want to lie down. Anger makes you light. It makes you want to move. Machiavelli said, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." No, don't be the victim. Be the one who sees the simplicity of men. Understand that they didn't support you because they couldn't see what you see. They are simple. They obey immediate needs. Safety, conformity, ease. You are complex. You obey a future need. Glory, power, freedom. You are speaking a language they do not speak. Mina, stop trying to translate it for them. Just build the tower so high that they have to crane their necks to see it. When you succeed with zero support, the victory is sweeter. It is pure. There is no one to thank in the acceptance speech. There is no one to split the equity with. There is a dark satisfaction in knowing that you walked through the fire and didn't burn, even when everyone watched and waited for you to turn to ash. But to get there, you have to master the art of strategic isolation. Most people are isolated by accident. You must be isolated by design. Cut the cord. If you are hanging around people who drain you just because you're afraid of being alone, you are leaking power. You are paying a social tax to stay in a club that you don't even want to be in. Stop paying the tax. Sit in your room. Stare at the wall. Feel the silence. It will be loud at first. Your thoughts will scream. You're a loser. You have no friends. Let them scream. Watch them. Analyze them. Bun? Where do those voices come from? They come from a teacher in 3rd grade. They come from a cynical uncle. They come from television. They are not yours. Once the screaming stops, and it will stop, you will hear something else. A quiet, steady hum. That is your own mind coming online for the first time. That is your intuition. A solitude can create space for clear thinking. Without constant opinions meetings and outside expectations competing for your attention, it becomes easier to hear your own judgment. Many important ideas are developed during periods of focused, uninterrupted work rather than in continuous discussion. While collaboration has its place, there is also value in spending time alone with your thoughts. From a practical perspective, every partnership introduces both opportunity and complexity. Collaborators can contribute knowledge resources and support, but they also bring different priorities, schedules, and incentives. Any plan that depends entirely on another person's consistency becomes more vulnerable to circumstances outside your control. That is why successful people build their plans around what they can reliably influence first, while treating outside help as an advantage rather than a necessity. Machiavelli warned rulers about becoming overly dependent on forces they did not control. In a modern context, the broader lesson is about maintaining independence. If your business career or creative work relies completely on someone else's approval funding or platform, your freedom to make decisions may become limited. Whenever possible, develop skills, assets, and systems that give you greater ownership over your direction. Building independently is often slower and more demanding. It may require more patience, more learning, and more resilience. Yet it also develops capabilities that cannot be borrowed. Someone who climbs the mountain step by step gains strength with every ascent. Even if another person reaches the summit faster with assistance, the climber possesses something far more durable: the ability to make the journey again whenever necessary. That resilience is one of the strongest foundations long-term success can have. If the wind blows, he falls. The man who climbed the mountain alone, clawing his way up the rock face, bleeding, sweating, freezing. He has legs of steel. The wind cannot move him. He is the mountain. You want to be the climber, not the passenger. This is why you must embrace the difficulty. When you hit a roadblock and there is no one to call, do not panic. Smile. This is the rep that builds the muscle. This is where you learn how to solve problems. If you have a mentor who gives you the answer, you learned nothing. You just memorized a solution. If you have to dig through the mud for 3 weeks to find the answer yourself, you own that knowledge. It is part of your DNA now. Zero support means maximum education. You are forced to learn marketing. You are forced to learn product. You are forced to learn finance. You are forced to learn psychology. You become a polymath. You become a weapon of mass competence. The specialist is easy to replace. The generalist who built the whole castle from scratch, he is irreplaceable. So, look at your empty contact list and say, "Thank you. Thank you for forcing me to become everything I needed." Now let's go deeper into the dark psychology of this. There is a concept called sublimation. It is a defense mechanism where you take socially unacceptable impulses or raw emotions and transform them into productive actions. You are alone. You are likely sad, angry, or fearful. The average person numbs these feelings. They drink. They scroll TikTok. They watch pornography. They eat sugar. They do anything to sedate the pain of isolation. You will do the opposite. You will feel the pain fully, and you will channel it into the work. Pain is energy. It is high-octane fuel. Have you ever noticed how much work you can get done when you are heartbroken or when you are furious? The outlier learns to tap into this energy source on command. You don't wait for a tragedy. You use the ambient pain of your solitude. I am alone. Work harder. They ignored me. Develop a habit of turning setbacks into action. When you face a problem, let it become a cue to produce rather than to retreat. If business is slow, improve your offer. If your writing is weak, practice your craft. If money is tight, look for ways to create more value. Over time, you build a powerful association. Obstacles become signals to work with greater intention instead of reasons to stop. While others become consumed by frustration, you learn to channel that energy into meaningful progress. Machiavelli described virtue not as moral goodness, but as the capacity to act decisively, adapt to changing circumstances, and shape events through skill and determination. His message remains relevant today. Do not wait for ideal conditions or perfect permission. Initiative consistently outperforms hesitation. The people who create opportunities are often those willing to move before certainty arrives. There is also value in stepping outside your comfort zone. Moderate pressure can sharpen attention, increase creativity, and encourage growth. The goal is not to live in constant fear or chronic stress. Those can be harmful, but to avoid becoming so comfortable that you stop challenging yourself. Productive discomfort reminds you that your abilities expand when you take on meaningful challenges. Finally, recognize that motivation has more than one source. There are moments when inspiration, curiosity, and collaboration provide the energy to move forward. There are other moments when disappointment, frustration, or rejection become powerful signals that something needs to change. Carl Jung wrote about integrating the shadow, the parts of ourselves we often ignore or suppress. Rather than letting difficult emotions control you, acknowledge them, understand them, and redirect them toward constructive action. When you learn to use both your positive aspirations and your difficult experiences as fuel, your progress becomes less dependent on circumstances and more rooted in your own character. Machiavelli called it the fox and the lion. Most people repress their dark side. They are taught that envy, aggression, and pride are sins, so they push them down. They try to be good, and because they are trying to be good, they become harmless. You cannot succeed with zero support if you are harmless. To build an empire from scratch, you need aggression. Comment? You need the ability to look at a competitor and want to crush them, not physically, but strategically. You need the pride to believe that you deserve more than the crumbs society has thrown you. Integrate your shadow. Stop feeling guilty about your ambition. Stop feeling guilty about wanting to be rich. Stop feeling guilty about wanting to prove everyone wrong. That darkness is not evil. It is potential energy. Think of a rocket. It does not fly because it has good intentions. It flies because it creates a controlled explosion at its base. Your shadow is that explosion. When you are alone at 11 p.m. and you want to quit, inspiration will not save you. Inspiration is fickle, and it leaves when things get hard. But spite is loyal. Pride is eternal. Use them. Tell yourself, if I quit now, name of person who doubted you wins. Tell yourself, if I stop, I prove them right. It is a dirty fuel, yes, but it burns hot. And right now, you need heat. You can switch to solar power later, once you are in orbit. But to escape gravity, you need fire. Machiavelli wrote, God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will, and that share of glory which belongs to us. He is telling you that you are expected to fight. You're expected to grab glory with your own hands. It will not be handed to you. Do not be the nice guy who finishes last. Be the integrated man who finishes first. Be polite. Be civilized, but keep the monster on a leash, ready to work. You have no boss. You have no team. You have no accountability partner. This is the danger zone. Most people, when left to their own devices, dissolve into entropy. They sleep until 10. They scroll. They work for 20 minutes, then take a break for 2 hours. They treat their freedom like a vacation. If you do this, you will die, metaphorically and financially. To succeed with zero support, you must become a fascist dictator to yourself. You need a protocol. A protocol is not a to-do list. A to-do list is a wish. A protocol is a law. 1. The morning negotiation. The moment your eyes open, you are in a negotiation. The weak part of your brain wants to hit snooze. It wants comfort. You must win this first battle every single day. If you lose to the alarm clock, you have already signaled to your subconscious that you are not in charge. 2 deep work blocks. You do not work all day. That is a lie people tell to look busy. You do deep work. You shut off the phone. You lock the door. You enter a trance state for 4 hours. In those 4 hours, you produce more than a corporation does in a week. Why? Because you have no meetings. You have no interruptions. This is your asymmetrical advantage. Speed focus, lethality. 3. Information. Diet. If you have no support, your mind is your only asset. If you fill it with garbage, you produce garbage. Stop watching the news. Stop watching drama channels. Stop consuming content that makes you feel small. Read philosophy. Read strategy. Read technical manuals. Machiavelli studied the Romans. He didn't study the gossip of Florence. He studied greatness to become great. 4. The evening review. At the end of the day, you must audit yourself. Look in the mirror and ask, did I move the needle today, or did I just make noise? You have no boss to give you a performance review. You must be the boss, and you must be a harsh one. If you failed, admit it. Correct it. Do not coddle yourself. This structure creates a container for your chaos. It replaces the external structure of a job or a school with an internal structure of iron. Let's address the biggest distraction for the lonely entrepreneur. Networking. You are told, go network. Go to events. Hand out business cards. Listen to me. Networking is for people who have nothing to offer. When you are starting from zero, you have no leverage. If you walk into a room of powerful people, You are a beggar. You are asking for attention. You are asking for favors. Powerful people smell beggars. They despise them. Do not go to networking events. Stay home and build. Build value. Build a product. Build an audience. Build a skill set that is so rare, so valuable, that you become a magnet. When you are a magnet, you don't need to chase the iron. The iron comes to you. Machiavelli advised the prince to make himself necessary. A wise prince must rely on what is in his power. He should endeavor only to avoid being hated. Make yourself necessary to the market. If you are the best video editor in the niche, YouTubers will find you. If you are the best copywriter, agencies will find you. If you are the best strategist, CEOs will find you. Build the honeypot. Stop chasing the bees. Every hour you spend drinking cheap wine at a networking mixer is an hour you stole from your craft. It is an hour you could have used to become undeniable. The best network is a portfolio of undeniable work. The best introduction is a track record of excellence. Succeed first, network later. And when you do finally enter those rooms, you won't be handing out business cards. People will be asking for yours. This is the part that will feel like a movie, but it is real. If you follow this path, the path of the ghost, the outlier, the Machiavellian, something strange will happen. You will start to win. The numbers will go up. The money will hit the account. The physique will change. The confidence will radiate off you like heat. And then they will come back. The friends who were too busy to grab coffee. The family members who asked, "When are you getting a real job?" The ex-partners who left you for someone more stable. They will return, and they will smile. And they will say the word that will make your stomach turn. I always knew we would make it. I'm so proud of us. They will try to rewrite history. They will try to insert themselves into your narrative. They want to stand next to the trophy they didn't help lift. This is your final test. The old you, the one who craved support, will want to let them back in. You will want the validation. You will want to say, "See, they love me now." Do not do it. You must handle this with Machiavellian grace. You do not need to be mean. You do not need to cause a scene. You simply maintain the distance. You treat them with the same polite indifference they treated you with. You become a wall of glass. They can see you, but they cannot touch you. You realize that their love is conditional. It is based on your utility to them. It is based on your status, and that is fine. That is human nature. But you do not build a castle on shifting sand. You keep your circle tight. You keep the gates closed. The only people allowed in the castle are the ones who helped you carry the stones. And since you carried them alone, the castle belongs to you alone. This is not loneliness. Then this is sovereignty. There is a peace in this that is hard to describe. It is the peace of knowing you are self-reliant. You know that if you lost it all tomorrow, you could build it all back again because you are the asset. Not your friends, not your network, not your luck. You? So where does this end? It doesn't. Once you have succeeded with zero support, you have unlocked a new level of the game. You are no longer the survivor. You are the architect. You now have the resources to build the world you wanted to live in. And here is the beautiful paradox. Now that you don't need support, you can give it. You can become the person you wished you had. You can spot the young, hungry, lonely kid who is about to give up. And you can be the one who says, "Keep going." You don't do it to get something back. You do it because you know the pain of the empty room. But you do it strategically. You do not save everyone. You only invest in those who show the spark. You become the mentor, the patron, the godfather. Machiavelli said, "It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver." In your case, it is double pleasure to support the unsupported, to fix the glitch in the system that left you behind. But never forget where you came from. Never forget the cold. Never forget the silence. Keep a piece of that darkness in your heart. Let it be the anchor that keeps you grounded while the world throws flowers at your feet. They clap for you now, but you know the truth. You clapped for yourself when the room was silent, and that applause is the only sound that matters. Wait, look at me. Amanda, I can feel your brain trying to reject this. This is too hard, it whispers. I need people. Humans are social animals. That is your biology talking. That is the prey instinct trying to herd you back into the flock where it feels safe. Safety is an illusion. The sheep is safe until the wolf arrives. The wolf is safe because he is dangerous. Which one are you? The path of zero support is not for everyone. It is for the outlier. It is for the mutation. It requires you to be willing to look like a failure for a long time so you can look like a legend forever. It requires you to suffer in the dark so you can shine in the light. Most people finish hearing a motivating idea and immediately return to familiar habits. They seek a brief moment of comfort, complain about their circumstances, and feel better for a little while. Yet, nothing meaningful changes. Real progress begins when reflection is followed by deliberate action. The difference is not what you know, but what you consistently do after the inspiration fades. If you've stayed with this discussion to the end, perhaps you're looking for more than temporary motivation. You're thinking critically about your habits, your mindset, and the choices that shape your future. The empty space beside you is not simply a sign of missing support. It can also represent an opportunity to develop the discipline, resilience, and independence that lasting success requires. If you found these ideas valuable and enjoy exploring psychology, philosophy, strategy, and timeless principles of self-mastery, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to explore more in-depth discussions, including extended content available to members, you can click the Join button to access exclusive videos that examine human behavior, decision-making, and influence in greater detail. The journey toward mastery is not about knowing more than everyone else. It's about applying what you learn with consistency long after the video ends.